Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my updated Danger Dark World list. I will admit that I did make a lot of mistakes in my last one with running the wrong numbers, as well as I made a few changes due to the meta. I'll get into it. However, I just wanted to say that this is the updated list that I've been testing and I find works really well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Alright, so starting out, of course, we run 2 copies of Grapha, the Dragon Lord of Dark World. This card is practically the boss monster of the deck, being able to, when this card is discarded, destroy 1 card your opponent controls, and then on top of that, it has another effect that, while this card is in your graveyard, you can just special summon this card by returning 1 Dark World monster on the field. So that is not a effect that could be negated because that it is the summoning condition. So it's kind of like Cyber Dragons, just being able to freely special summon from the hands. Continuing on, we run 3 copies of Rainbow Dragon, or Overking of Dark World. This card says that when this card is discarded, you can search for a level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck, being able to get you your Grapha or even your Silva, which we'll go over in just a moment. This card also has another effect that says that you can special summon that card by returning 1 level 7 or lower Dark World monster from your field to your hand. Continuing on, we do run 3 copies of Genta, Gateman of Dark World. For those who don't know what this card does, this card just says that you can discard this card to add Gates of Dark Worlds from your deck to your hand. Then, if this card is banished, you can special summon it. The special summon effect is a hard once per turn, however, the discard to search is not. So there are times where you can get up to 2 Gates of Dark World just off of Genta. Continuing on, we run 3 copies of Snow. Snow just has the effect of when this card is discarded, you can search for a Dark World card from your deck to your hand. Really good card. Then we run 3 copies of Brow. Brow has the effect of when this card is discarded, you can then draw 1 card, but if your opponent's effect makes you discard a card, you can draw 2 cards. Then to wrap up the non-one-ofs, because I do run a few one-ofs, I do run 2 copies of Silva. I was originally just running it at 1, however, I was finding trouble where I would have a full board of monsters and that card gets discarded, and I just kind of don't have it for later turns. However, with 2, it should help being able to just be able to use the effect of Rainbow to search it. The main reason why we run this card is when this card is discarded, you can then special summon this card from your graveyard. However, if it was discarded by your opponent's card effect, which can happen in this deck really well, you can then take 2. Your opponent picks 2 cards in their hand and puts it back into the deck at the bottom of the deck. So with that, pretty much it's just a little bit of a hand rip. But really, that's about it for those. To wrap up the Dark Worlds, we do run 1 copy of Ceruli. Ceruli just says that when this card is discarded, special summon it to your opponent's side of the field. Then, when it's special summoned by the effect of a Dark World, by its own effect, your opponent would then have to discard a card, which at that point, it would be on your opponent's side of the field, making you the opponent. Then, to wrap it up, I do run 1 copy of Beige. I was thinking about running it at more than 1, however, I think that 1 is just fine. Its effect is when it's discarded, just special summon it. So it's just a worse Silva. So that's it for the Dark World monsters. Going into the dangers. Personally, I like to run 3 copies of Danger Nessie. Nessie's just really good to be able to get you more dangers into your hand, as well as, or if it's not discarded, just special summon. All dangers have the effect of when this card is in your hands, you can reveal it, shuffle your hand, your opponent picks 1 card randomly and discards it. If that card was not the revealed danger monster, you can special summon that danger, draw 1 card. However, they all have separate effects that are pretty much if this card is discarded, you can do X effect. So the effect of Nessie is that you can search for 1 danger monster and add it to your hand. Pretty much, I'm only going to be going over the secondary effects because all of them have that first effect of reveal, special, draw. We run, of course, 1 copy of Jackalope, which its effect is you can then special summon a danger from your deck, which would most likely be one of your level 8s to be able to get into your rank plays. Then we run one copy of Tsushinoko. Tsushinoko is just really good being able to set up board presence because if it's discarded, it just special summons. Really nothing else needs to be said about that. Continuing on, we do run 2 copies of Mothman. The only reason why we run 2 instead of 3 is because Tearlaments is a deck. And this card's effect is if this card is discarded, each player draws 1 card and then discards 1 card. Then continuing on, I run 1 copy of Chupacabra. Chupacabra's effect is practically just a monster reborn for danger if this card is discarded. Continuing on to the level 8s, which will help with our Xyz plays, we run 2 copies of Bigfoot. Bigfoot's effect is that you can destroy 1 face-up card on your opponent's field. Thunderbird, it just destroys a spell or trap on your opponent's side of the field, which is really good. Or, technically it destroys a set card, but most likely you're going to be destroying a back row, or, yeah. Really nothing else needs to be said about that. And then Ogopogo. Ogopogo's effect is it just sends a danger from the deck to the graveyard. There are some cards you can run with that. For instance, you could be running the Danger spell card, Danger Response Team, which this card is that you can discard a Danger monster while this card is in the graveyard, put this card on the bottom of the deck, then draw 1 card. Personally, I'm not running it. However, it is a really good option for those who are looking for a little bit of extra consistency. However, you might want to run more than 1 Ogopogo, which I think could be a bit of a brick. But that's about it for the dangers. Let's go ahead and move on to the spells. For the spells, I'm running 3 copies of the Gates of Darkworld. The Gates of Darkworld just says that all Fiend-type monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Then this card also has a second effect that says, once per turn, you can banish 1 Fiend-type monster from your graveyard, discard 1 Fiend monster, then draw 1 card. So practically, you just search this off of Ginta, activate it, banish the Ginta, discard another another Dark World to be able to get your effects, and then Ginta can practically summon itself back out using its own effects. Really good card. I probably go through all 3 copies on my first turn to set up a big board. However, if you don't want to go through 2 and you want to sit on 1, then that is perfectly fine. Continuing on, we do run 2 copies of Dark World's Accession. Dark World's Accession is just a fusion spell of the deck that is, in fact, a quick play spell, so you can use it on your opponent's turn. But practically, it just says you can banish the materials for a Dark World fusion monster from the field or graveyard. However, it also has the effect of, if you were to fuse using monsters in your hand, then the cards are sent to the graveyard and counted as discarded. So that just allows you to be able to get even more effects from your Dark Worlds. Continuing on, we do run 1 copy of Dark World Archives. I really like Archives because it has the effect of, once per turn, you can discard 1 Dark World monster from your hand. All Dark World monsters on the field, gain 100 attack for each level of the monster. So let's say you were to discard Snow, which is level 4. Your Dark World monsters would gain 400 attack and defense, and that is until the end of the turn. However, the main effect that is really good for this is that if you discard a Dark World monster with the effect of a Dark World card, you can then discard 1 card, draw 2 cards. So it's just really powerful just to be able to continue your drawing, and it also is able to trigger your other Dark World cards. Continuing on, I'm running 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is a really good card, but the main reason why I'm running this instead of a card like Dark World Dealings is because it is the fact of each player draws 1 card and discards 1 card, which really hurts when we are playing against Tearlament. When I was playtesting with this and I was playing it at locals, it would always come up that I would just have Dark World Dealings in the hand as a dead card because I don't want to give my opponent a bunch of advantage. But then, talking about giving our opponent an advantage, but it's only a 1-of, so it won't really affect too badly, we do run 1 copy of Card Destruction. Card Destruction was actually really funny during my time at locals with it because I just had 3 snows that I had in hand. I just Card Destruction, sent all 3, drew the same number, and then I immediately got 3 more cards from the snows. But with that being said, that's going to be it for the spells as well as the end of the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Alright, so starting off with the extra deck, we do run 2 copies of Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Darkworld. This card has a really good effect of whenever your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, you can negate that effect and turn that monster's effect into your opponent discards 1 card. which would help if we had like Silva in hand or if we wanted to plus off like Snow or Brow. However, it's really good just to be able to be a once per turn negation that also helps you to plus your own advantage. It also has a second effect of if this card leaves the field due to an opponent's card effect, you can then special summon one Grapha from your banished or from your graveyard. Really good effects, but that's literally it for the fusion monsters. Continuing on to the link monsters, I will be explaining like what each card does and why I'm running them. So of course we run one copy of Cross Shape because we do use the Dark World of Session to fuse into our Grapha, and we can just add even more consistency on top of that, whether that be special summon back a Snow to bounce back for Grapha or whatever, but really good card. Continuing on, we do run one copy of IP Masquerena to be able to link on our opponent's turn to help add some disruption, which for that we run one Nightmare Unicorn, which is discard to shuffle one card your opponent controls back to the deck, one Nightmare Phoenix to be able to pop a set card on our opponent's side of the field. And then, personally, I like to run Underworld Goddess of the Closed World just to be able to link off our opponent's monster, and it also acts as a once per turn negate for the if our opponent tries to summon from the graveyard. Continuing on, as a pseudo boss monster for the deck, I do run one copy of Blackluster Soldier of Chaos, just to be able to get that double attack, the banish, or the attack boost, just to make it really hard to get over. Continuing on to the Link 4s, we do run one User Skuldred to be able to draw 4 and then put 3 back onto the bottom of the deck. One copy of Apollosa to act as a bunch of negations, which is really powerful in this deck. And then, of course, the access code to help end boards. While I was playtesting, I found that if we were to go first and set up IP Masquerena, and then summon Underworld Goddess, we could actually make a 7,300 attack access code, which at that point we would have linked so much that we can probably get rid of about 4 cards using the effect of an access code. Continuing on to the Xyz, we do, of course, run one copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller just turns off graveyards, which we would use on our opponent's turn to stop them from being able to use, like, tier limit cards or whatever. Then we run one copy of Dugaris the Timeless. Dugaris is a really powerful card, being able to detach both of its materials to either draw 2 cards, then discard 1, which can happen in this deck, which is really powerful. And then, however, that will skip your next draw phase. Then, this card also has 2 more effects. This next one is you can special summon a monster from the graveyard. However, you skip your main phase of the next turn, which hopefully you should just be able to go into your battle phase and end the game. But then the last one is that you can skip the battle phase of your next turn, but then double the attack of one monster you control until the end phase of this turn. So with this card on the field and a really high-powered access code, you can just close out games. So that's it for the rank 4s. Continuing on, we do run one copy of Coach King Giant Trainer. Giant Trainer is just a really good card requiring 3 level 8 monsters. Then it has the effect of you can detach one Xyz material from this card, draw 1 card, and reveal it. If that card was a monster, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect, but you can only activate each effect up to thrice per turn. So this is a thrice per turn card that literally just says, draw, reveal, if it's a monster, burn your opponent. Why would you not run a card like that in a deck that heavily requires you to draw deep into your deck? But then to wrap up the Xyz, we do run one copy of AA Zeus just to be able to wipe our opponent's board. And with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment down below what you guys think of the deck profile as well as what you think I should do for a future video. But with that being said, if you liked the video, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and if you really enjoyed the video and want to keep up with what I post, I upload about twice a week, be sure to hit that notification bell as well. But with that being said, see ya!